morning, gardeners, farmers, homesteaders, and friends. This morning, it's beautiful. It is dawn about maybe 10 minutes ago. The sun is just above the horizon, and it's perfect time to get some weeding in. It's cool. There's no wind, so I can make videos. And I just kind of wanted to, now that our garden is popping, weeding is a different game, and you can't just like blitz through it with a wheel hoe. You know, you have to cultivate. So I want to talk a bit about the different tools that I use and the phased approach to it, and then get out there and do it. So I think the very first thing I do, birds are freaking out. Very first thing I do is do the paths all the way around the border and the paths in the garden. And to that I use a wheel hoe, and I alternate between this stirrup hoe. I just got this. I used to use 2 6s, but I'm gonna try this. I think like just having that slightly less, well, it's like half as much bite because there's only 2 posts instead of 4, and slightly less distance, you know, 8 inches versus 12 inches. I think it's gonna be a little easier to push through. But you can kind of use whatever you want. The downside is I have to make 2 passes per row. So I'm hoping for a trade-off. I'll let you know how it works. But I alternate this and these suckers every other week. And these, they do 2 different things. Hold on a second. They do 2 different things. The stirrup hoe rides under the ground and cuts weeds off. And these I kind of configure. Oh, I grabbed 2 of the same side, but yeah, here we go. Yeah, I kind of configure them so that they bite like this, and they'll make a little groove, and that'll cut through the Bermuda grass, if that makes sense. And so I alternate those every week. So last week I did those, so this week I'm doing the stirrup hoe. Other than that, for the actual bed, like the garden beds themselves, now that we're cultivating, I use Collinear Hoe from Neversink Farm, and there's like a variety of attachments, and they clip in here. It's just like a little, I can show you, clip in like that, right? So you can take like 20 tools in the farm with you, and these are, and just clip them on your belt. And these are pretty great. There's a different use case for all of these. So I'll show you those first. But Dawn's already here, so I'm gonna get weeding and take you along for the ride. Okay, you've seen this song and dance before. Just gonna go like this. You can hear it cutting. Nope. This is definitely easier to push. I need to mow this. My mower is finally fixed. It's been in the shop for 4 months. Okay, so we did all the paths, did the aisles. Next, we're gonna do the beds. This is broken up into 3 phases. These side pieces here, here, and here, we're gonna use a stirrup or a string wire. So like, there are these, and basically you just like get the one. It'll probably be the biggest, maybe second biggest. Yeah, see, it'll kind of fit right here. Fit on both sides, and we're just gonna zip right up down on one side and down the other. What we're doing here is we're just looking for teeny tiny weeds. There we go. So see, we can just like boop, pull that weed out. and murder it. Yeah, we're just gonna do this. Try and get this area. If it gets caught on some grass, just kick it off. But yeah, what we're doing is we're catching all of the weeds in the thread stage, except for these suckers. Now this doesn't cut, so this doesn't, this isn't gonna get any big weeds, it won't cut. You can actually get really close to the plant you're cultivating, and yeah, it'll kill all these right here. Just boop, and they're dead. That's what it's for. It will not hit big weeds. You'll just slide right over it. And yeah, it works pretty well. This is actually like what I consider to be the big weeding tool. So the one thing is that, you see me pull a few of these out. These are Silverleaf Nightshade, which in my neck of the woods is the one weed that I can't manage. I have to pull it by hand. And it's a long tapped perennial root. Or hold on, long tap rooted perennial weed. It's a big problem. It's basically a farmer's blight because it has a 70% regrow from 1 centimeter of root stem. So when you till it and you bust that stem up, you make thousands of clones. And so the more you till, the worse your problem gets. So it's pretty much a blight. So in areas, you know, like where I live, where things have been tilled for ages, you know, you just have a big problem. The end caps are always a little gnarly. I need to trim this thing so it sits in here more. The emitter. I'll probably do that this afternoon because this is a little difficult to manage. Next step is to use this fancy attachment. Kind of show you here. This one we're gonna go over both rows. And it's gonna, the plants go this direction. So similar motion as before, and we're just gonna, we have to go a little slower here. We are hitting a few beans, but it's okay. When you plant with a cedar, and really kind of any garden, you want to kind of overplant, knowing that there are going to be some losses, inevitably. Insect and, you know, mistake of the hand. It only takes a tiny adjustment in this to make big changes. So yeah, you're not using a lot of force. This is really the biggest finesse tool. I don't really like using this one either. So I like it once the plants get big enough where I don't have to worry about this. See, it works really well for corn, as you can see. Works really well for lettuces, things that grow up from the base like that. But I like the effect because there's like so many weeds out of the thread stage that grow around the base of your plants that are very difficult to weed. And so this, you know, this really makes that doable. Okay, final step is to use this, it's called a Collinear Hoe. And the way this works is it's got a cutting edge and it's gonna glide under the surface. So it'll look kind of like this, and then there's some parts here that were a little tricky. There's two sizes. This is the 6-inch, and I'm gonna go straight, oh, there we go. I'm gonna go straight through the middle, like this. The angle on this is really important because you want it to glide through like a blade. Okay, So if it's like this, it'll dig. If it's like this, it'll try and surface. The angle is really important. Just like this. The reason I use the Collinear hoe for the center is because this is going to be really damp, because that's where the irrigation line is. And also, this is the most aggressive tool. Like, this is the only actual one with a blade. And so what I'm trying to do is just scrape underneath and sever without removing too much soil. But yeah, just kind of go like this. Those who are knowledgeable or keen will have noticed one other area I'm not weeding. And it is not too big of a deal right now, because these seeds are pretty close together, where the seeder wasn't, of course, not laying down seeds. But you can see right here, so all these roots that are in the line of the crop, but are like where seeds didn't drop, you know, like in the dead space. And so for that, I'll just kind of show you, get to the end of this row and come back and do it. And you can see if the angle's right, if your cut angle's right, I mean, you can just see how many weeds we're trashing. Okay, I'll go ahead and take this off for now. So now I've got the 3-inch, and it's a very tiny implement. And using this, you're going to go back through, and you can hit all the spaces in between where you see them. Oop, see, this is, see what a terrifying tool that is? I just murdered that corn. So you got to be real careful with what you go back through and hit. And for here, what I'm looking for is mainly just, I'm just going through the areas, right? Because everything's buried at this point. So, which a lot of those will die simply because they're buried. But, maybe we just do this. And you can use the 3-inch hoe to go through the middle. Sometimes I do that just to only make one pass. And then basically just do this and cultivate all the little ground in between. Just depends on your mood. Depends on the situation. When it's real spotty like this, it may make more of a difference. If you use the gritter and you're transplanting and you've got, you know, 6 inches in between, you can actually just run your thing through and it's like super fast. To do that, so basically you just go like this. You can see how with transplant spacing, which is insanely precise, you can, with the gritter, you can totally get away with a lot of cool stuff like that. Can't argue with the results, huh? Not too shabby, if I do say so myself. Looks good. All that's left. Let's clean these tools off, dry them, and oil them, put them away. Oh, good morning. Yeah. Okay. We're all done. Good morning, chicks. Look at these things. These are no longer chicks. They're full-on chickens. Look at them. Man. Okay. Well, thanks for going with me on that adventure. Getting those things weeded up. Good for another week, and we do that again. Took about 2 hours. And that's with the camera, so, you know. It isn't that bad. It really isn't. And some of this stuff you don't have to do all the time, like, you know, the weird dibbler attachment here. This thing. You don't have to do that all the time. Well, thank you very much for going with me on this journey. I appreciate every minute of our time together, and hope you do too. So we'll catch you on the next side.